Today I'll show you how I beat the best players in the world and qualified for day 2 of the Clash Royale League. Starting things off, I was up against Pedro, who I want to say is probably a top 10 player in the world right now, and I was playing RG Monk. Me and my coach decided on this deck because we saw Pedro was using a lot of his comfort decks, like for example this Miner Minions Mighty Miner deck, and it's pretty nice to have Wizard against that type of matchup, so we thought RG could be a pretty good option. And overall, RG is just a pretty safe deck. It can counter Beatdown, but also can hold up against Cycle. Now, what Pedro actually ended up running was a really crazy Recruits Ramrider deck, and he did have the new Evo Baby Dragon as well, which I knew could be super difficult to defend. But at this point in the game, I actually thought that Pedro would have a Lava Hound deck, just seeing the Baby Dragon, the cage, and everything. So I think, yeah, I went pretty aggressive here, just because when you're facing Lava Hound, you just need to get a lot of aggressive early damage in that sort of matchup. Then he revealed the Recruits here, and I knew I had to get a really good Wizard, so I just went for it in the middle, then kind of pulled the Recruits from the left side, and I was able to get the guards up high for the right side. But man, look at this Wizard value, guys. It just completely melted everything. Imagine if I had a Hunter in this deck. That would have been probably a lot of damage on my towers, but Wizard got some really good cleanup. I was down a few Elixir, though, which might have ended up making me get into a bit of an awkward spot, but I think I was able to reset pretty well. And guys, if you don't know how CRL works already, basically the top 1,000 players on ladder all qualify to this Swiss tournament, and it basically goes around and you just face random players from the tournament until 9 rounds are played. And in order to qualify to day 2 of CRL, you have to go at least 7-2, or maybe 8-1, or even 9-0. I mean, if you're 8-1, you're guaranteed in, but 9-0 is always nice to get as well. Now, the only thing is, guys, is that normally 7-2 guarantees you a qualification, but in this month in particular, this is the final month of CRL, so everyone's trying their best to get into World Finals. So, actually, this month, I knew that I would have to go 8-1 to guarantee a qualification, or if I got 7-2, I could get in, but I also might not get in. Because if you're 7-2, some people 7-2 won't get in, it just depends on their opponent win rate. The opponent win rate is just the win rate of their opponents, so if they face really good opponents, then they have a good chance to get in, but if they don't, then they won't. Also, I got a really good Monk right there blocking his Golden Knight ability. I purposely spaced my Wizard out to the side there just to make sure he couldn't get a nice Golden Knight chain. I had really nothing for the Baby Dragon, so I decided to just pop that ability and got a little bit of reflection onto it and the Lumberjack. I tried to get a good Lightning, but the Fisherman actually ended up pulling the Lumberjack. I thought the Fisherman might not pull the Lumberjack because it was going so fast, so I thought it might just walk up to it. Sometimes that happens when you're facing Evo Baby Dragon, but unfortunately it didn't work out for me too well. And guys, I actually did get a 1 loss already at this point, so I already had 1 loss here, and I knew if I lost this game against Pedro, I could just be completely out, because basically one of my very first duels of this CRL today, I got a loss. So, you know, I knew I could lose one more, but if I did, there would be a chance I wouldn't be able to get in. Now, here I actually had a pretty good opportunity to RG. I really did not go for many RGs at all throughout this game. I was mostly just focused on defending and stuff and just controlling the game, but I saw a good opportunity here. I popped the Monk ability, got a nice Lightning down, and I think a really important thing was that I purposely didn't hit the tower so I could hit all of his units. Pedro got a bad Goblin Cage, didn't even push off my RG from the tower. I thought Pedro might go in here and get a lot of damage, but he actually ended up going for the Recruits instead of a Ramrider, and he got kind of a bad Golden Knight ability too. I got a nice Wizard down low, and I knew that I might take some damage from the Recruits on the left, but I didn't really care about that because I was already up so much, so I could kind of afford to let him get a little something. But yeah, man, the Wizard was just getting crazy value. Like, I don't know, guys, just imagine if I had a Hunter in this matchup. Imagine how much more damage I would have taken. And honestly, right here, I maybe could have got my King up off the Ramrider, but I don't think it really mattered too much either way. The Wizard actually got so much damage on the left side, so I just went for an RG. And guys, I was playing duels format. CRL is duels format, so basically it's a best of 3, and you can't repeat cards at all. You can only use 1 of each card throughout the best of 3, so I just wanted to try my best to take game 1 off Pedro so I could be in more of a controlling position for the other 2 games. I went in for the RG. I knew Pedro might cage up high, but I didn't really care. I just went for the Lightning anyways because I knew I could just Lightning cycle him out if he defended the RG, but he was unable to. So guys, for the next game, I decided to play Graveyard with the Furnace, and Pedro was actually playing Logbait, which was really unlucky for me because I had just used... I just used some of my other spells in other decks. Like, normally this deck has Barbarian Barrel, but I actually put it in a different deck that I was planning to use later against Pedro. So I had Snowball against Bait, which is just really not a good sign. I think Pedro just ran it because he knew that all of my good cycle decks like Hog EQ and Miner and stuff like that were out with my log out that I used in the RG deck. I got a nice snowball on Pedro's goblins, but unfortunately I didn't really get much damage. Honestly, guys, that graveyard was probably pretty bad, but I just went for it because I was thinking, like, man, this matchup is going to suck, so I might as well just try to be aggressive and just hope for the best. Because my philosophy, guys, is that whenever I'm facing a really hard counter, I just think, like, I might as well take some chances with plays, like, do some risky plays, try to be a bit aggressive at the start, because, you know, if you just play normally, you're just going to lose either way, so you might as well try to get something crazy to happen, right? But yeah, I already took a lot of damage here, just really early in single elixir, so I did not think I'd have any chance here, but I knew the one thing that I would have that would be really good for me was going to be the furnace spam, since Pedro had no big spell. So I believe I did go for a furnace in the back here once I hit 10 elixir. I knew the Evo furnace in particular could be really good, but I mean, Pedro did have Valkyrie, so Valkyrie actually does do pretty well against the furnace and just these mini graveyard pushes. I was already calling the good game, just trying to build up some confidence in Pedro, you know. And then I think I had to go for a Goblin Hut. I don't even know if I had to go for that. Honestly, not sure if those wall breakers would have connected or not. I feel like maybe they wouldn't have, but the Goblin Hut wasn't really a bad play either way because he had the Evo Barrel and Cycle, and I knew the Hut would just kind of block up the lanes and whatnot. Pedro did go for the Evo Barrel. I feel like that was kind of a terrible Evo Barrel by Pedro, I'm not gonna lie. He got a little bit of damage on both sides, but he didn't really apply that much pressure or force out that much elixir out of me, so I feel like that was not the best for him. Now, I did have my Evo Furnace and Cycle here, so I knew that the Evolved Furnace could be my only ticket to victory, because I could get some damage with graveyard pushes, but I knew they would never really get me enough damage to actually win the game. I knew I needed some sort of bigger connection with, I don't know, like a Knight or a Berserker. Because he had Dark Goblin, he had Goblins, even the Evo Valkyrie here, which he did have in Cycle at this point, I knew was going to be really good for him. I decided to Graveyard, then I think I had to get a Hut down. No, I just got the Snowball for the Wall Breakers. That was actually a smart Snowball for the Wall Breakers, so I could conserve my Elixir a bit. I was hoping the Furnace would get some Fire Spirits on the Valkyrie and the Tower, and I actually did get one nice Fire Spirit splash, so you guys can see, it was really just the Furnace holding things down for me at this point. But I had no Snowball in Cycle, I had to use it to defend the Wall Breakers, so yeah, I got into a little bit of an awkward cycle, but I did take the poison on the Dark Goblin. Poison Chip was really going to be my main way to actually get damage, but he let the Fire Spirit go, so I was getting right back into this game. I was honestly really surprised at this point. I thought I had already guaranteed lost against Pedro, especially, you know, with such a terrible single elixir taking all that, like, 1,000 damage from his barrel, but I don't know, I feel like he just had not really been going for good barrel pushes. Like, once again there, his barrel push was really just not that effective, and he also went for the barrel on the inside trying to juke me out a bit, but I saw it from a mile away, so the Berserker was able to full counter it. If he just went for the barrel on the center of the tower, he could have actually got a bit more damage. Now here I finally went for the poison on the princesses. I just didn't want to let him get too big of a stack up. And at this point I knew I very well could win this matchup, it's just that it was going to be very hard to get poison damage on the right side because he could always just go for the Dark Goblins and Princesses on the left side to try to force out my spells. I did end up having to go for a Goblin Hut, which was kind of a waste of elixir. Never really feels good going for it against the Wall Breakers. I did get a very nice Berserker, though. I was hovering the Berserker there, knowing he would Princess. And as you guys can see, I was being very calm with my graveyards. I went for that one graveyard early in the game, and then after that, I literally don't think I went for almost a single other graveyard. Now, so luckily for me, guys, Pedro's Princess did not splash my tower there. It splashed the Knight only, but not the tower. And I did get a poison down for the Dark Goblin, which was kind of bad for me. I didn't want to poison that side. I wanted to poison the right side, but I kind of was forced to go for it there. Got a nice snowball on defense. I think Pedro wasn't really doing a great job of tanking for his barrels. Maybe because he had no Ice Spirit in his deck like they normally have, so he wasn't really tanking for the barrels much, and because of that, the snowball was always able to full counter. And I just went for, yeah, finally the graveyard kind of aggressively, but I knew I really didn't need any graveyard damage. I think I got like almost 0 graveyard damage, but I really didn't need any. I just had to defend here and just get a poison for confirmation. Got the snowball down, and then the princess almost got on my tower. But very luckily for me, the Fire Spirit blocked, and I took the duel win against Pedro. So next up, guys, I was up against Felix, and I was playing Pekka Bridge Spam for the first game. I was actually trying to avoid some of my comfort decks today, because I feel like certain things, like, for example, Minor Poison, which I love to play, or even Goblin Drill, was kind of struggling against stuff like the Evo Witch. Because kind of just randomly out of nowhere, guys, Evo Witch actually became really good, especially in Graveyard. I mean, mainly in Graveyard is where it's used, and yeah, I think it just got really broken because the Vine spell just doesn't deal with it very well compared to other spells that were meta before, like the lightning and stuff like that. And also, another strange thing in CRL was that I feel like everyone kept on trying to snipe my Hog Earthquake decks. Like, not this guy with the first game, but in just a lot of the games, like even against Pedro in the game before, I don't know, I feel like everyone was trying to just play decks that counter Hog Rider, even though I wasn't even playing it. I was like telling my coach maybe we should try to play some Hog Rider a bit more, but I don't know, everyone was just like sniping it for no reason. Everyone was so scared of it. But anyways, this Felix guy decided to go for a Barbarian's Bridge Spam deck, which I think is normally fine for my deck. It can definitely deal with it. It's just that it's kind of easy to get into a bad cycle. Like, if they pressure really well, guys, they can kind of just force you to, like, overcommit. Like, you know, they go for a Battle Ram one side, you Pekka, then you're down 3 Elixir, and they just run you really thin on the other side with some pressure, like a Battle Ram plus Ghost or something. Even the Barbs to pressure are sometimes pretty nice for them. The thing is, with the Barbs, is that in, you know, double and triple Elixir, we have, like the Golden Knight, the Mother Witch, and stuff to kind of take them down, but in single Elixir especially, they get a lot of value out of it. And here I actually got, I think, a nice Heal Spirit. Yeah, I got a nice Heal Spirit, and then I decided to go for a Mother Witch as well, because if I didn't play it there, my cycle would have been really awkward to defend that Ghost. And I got a nice Piggy out of it, which forced him to Bandit, and the Ewas actually got a little bit of tower damage. So I was off to a pretty nice start here. I actually didn't know he had Barbs at this point, though, so I just went in for a Battle Ram just to tank that one Bandit hit right there, because otherwise it would have charged to my tower. Now, I was a little bit worried when I saw the Barbs, guys, because I didn't have a lot to take them out. I didn't have, like, a Fireball or something, but I knew the Golden Knight ability would be my best friend here, so I got a really good ability. I did play the Heal Spirit, but unfortunately the Golden Knight died just before it was able to fully, you know, get the heal off. I was hoping here that the Evo Lumberjack might be able to kill the Mother Witch, but I got kind of unlucky because that one Piggy actually kited my Lumberjack evolution far away and kind of messed it up for me, but I got a nice Pekka on the Ghost. I just knew that with my Mother Witch on the left side, he could not pressure me, even though I had my Pekka out of cycle. And I got a Golden Knight here as well, just anticipating that he would probably go for the Barbarians. He actually ended up going for the Vine spell. You guys will see here later in the match, but the Vine spell was actually really annoying for me. I feel like without the Vine spell, it would be just a lot easier, but with the Vine spell, it can actually get really bad in this matchup sometimes. He actually went for it here, but then he was just a little bit too delayed. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I feel like this might have actually been a good matchup for him, because just think about it, if he didn't delay that Vine spell there, he would have just got like 2 Ram charges on my tower, and that would have been like 1,300 damage or something. But he didn't do it quite in time, so I was still winning at this point. You know, I was kind of just like cycling my cards a little bit freely. I wasn't trying to make a big push in particular. I was more so just trying to go with the flow and make sure that I can defend well. And I got really good arrows there. I feel like he should have probably protected his Mother Witch more, because the Mother Witch for him was actually not that easy for me to kill either. But my Mother Witch was also kind of nice for me too. So yeah, I got another Pekka into this Archer Queen. I feel like the Ewas was actually a really good pick in this Pekka deck, because it just made it so even if you went for a Ram other side, I could just stun it up. And yeah, the Ewas actually stunned stuff up, and then I got a Lumberjack, guys. Okay, that was so clutch. No, let me explain what just happened, dude. Like, I accidentally just played a Lumberjack there just to defend, right? But then I accidentally soaked up the Vines there, so it let my Ewas stay alive, and it let it keep on stunning up the Battle Ram. But if the Ewas got stunned up there, guys, by the Vines, and didn't stun up the Battle Ram, I think I would have just died. And then he went for Vines there again, but then he didn't even hit my Ewas. Dude, I'm not even trolling. This has to be a good matchup for him, because if he didn't fail those 2 Vines, imagine how much damage he would have got on my tower here. It just shows how nervous people could get in CRL. I don't think this guy's that old of a CRL player. I think he's a relatively new CRL player, so he was probably very nervous facing me. Got a very nice Heal Spirit, just barely clutching up there, and it allowed my Ram to get a nice connection. The Heal Spirit really is the star of the show sometimes. Now here it was actually getting really close, guys. I had to Battle Ram on defense on the Archer Queen. Got nice arrows down. But dude, this Battle Ram was getting close, and he had the Vines in cycle, which he went for, but I was able to get the Pekka down last second. And I think the only difference there was just slightly better plays by me. You know what one of the hardest things about this CRL stage is, guys? It's not that you're going to always face the best players in the world and stuff like that in the early stages. Sometimes you do face the best players, like I faced Pedro pretty early on in this tournament, but the hardest part is that when you face these players who you're not really too aware of, like, for example, this guy here, like, you know, I know most top ladder players, I know their name and I just know what they're running based off that, or like what their main decks are, but, you know, when you see a guy like this, you just have no idea what he could run against you, so it's sometimes just like kind of a spin of the wheel trying to not get hard countered, and sometimes you do get hard countered and there's nothing you can do about it. Even if you were, you know, to make really good picks, you could sometimes just get countered if they just make a random pick that doesn't make sense, right? And so in this match, guys, I just need to beat this guy one more time if I wanted to take the victory. But even if I lost here, I would still have one more chance. I thought this guy would actually go for a Ram Rider with the Spirit Empress, but I guess he didn't want to go for it too late, and he didn't have the elixir to go for it any earlier, so I was able to counter the Empress, but he did get one hit on my tower. By the way, this Goblin Giant deck that I was playing has to be one of the dumbest decks in existence, man. It's just Goblin Giant Prince, but then you have the Goblin Machine to take down, you know, those annoying ranged cards. You have the Vines to stun stuff up and defend well. And then along with that, you have the Evo Baby Dragon. Now, guys, the Evo Baby Dragon plus Prince combo is absolutely lethal, man. The speed of a Prince while it's being sped up by the Baby Dragon is absolutely absurd. I'm pretty sure it goes so fast that it could probably even, like, not get dashed on by a Boss Bandit. Like, the Boss Bandit would not be able to dash on the Prince because the Prince would just walk towards it so quickly. I got a really aggressive Goblin Giant at the bridge here, which might have seemed like kind of a weird play because I was not even up Elixir or anything like that. I was actually down, like, half an Elixir, but I just knew his cycle was so bad, and because of that, I was able to actually get some pretty nice tower damage. The fact that his Furnace was evolved, though, kind of saved him from those Goblins, but overall, I was pretty happy with this. I just went for my Goblin Machine. I was kind of expecting a Boss Bandit, and that is exactly what he did. I got a really nice Goblin Machine Rocket on the Evo Furnace, though, and I did actually have to let the Ram Rider go. I could have went for the Vines on the Ram Rider, but I was just pretty certain that I could get a nice counter push. He got some really good Goblins there from his Curse, but Curse no longer does damage amplification, so it's not as good as before in that type of situation. And I knew I could just go for the Vines and the Rage here on the Empress. I feel like the 10% HP nerf that it got in the last balance changes really did affect it. It's still quite strong, and I've seen quite a few people use it in CRL so far, but it's definitely easier to take down with spells, especially. And yeah, he just had to go for a Furnace into my Prince, and I was able to get a very easy no-skill win. Here I was up against Drew, and I was going for a Splash Yard type of deck. I got the, you know, just classic Splash Yard. When I saw the Ghost, I decided to go for the Baby Dragon. Some people probably would go for a Knight, but I did want to just allow that Ghost to walk forward so I could get my King Tower activation, which I got pretty nicely. Now, unfortunately for me, guys, in the first game, I just decided to go for this Graveyard deck, and he decided to go for a Mother Witch deck out of nowhere, so yeah, that's not very good. If you're playing Graveyard with, like, Vines or something, you can actually go for the Vines on the Mother Witch, and it ends up working out pretty good for you, but in this Graveyard deck, I had no Vines or anything, and not even like a Goblin Cage. If you have Goblin Cage in this matchup, that helps actually quite a bit for defense, but as far as the Tombstone goes, it kind of sucks against Evo Battle Ram. Can't really DPS it down at all. And also, obviously, it sucks against the Mother Witch. This guy did decide to go for the Pekka in the back, and when I saw his cards, I already knew he probably would have a Mother Witch, so that's why I didn't decide to pressure with a Graveyard or anything like that. Now, I did have my Evo Baby Dragon here, so I was trying to see how that could do on defense. I knew it would probably help me out quite a bit, and also just having the early King activation I knew could also give me a decent chance to somehow do something. He did get the Vines down, though, but I feel like he got kind of bad Vines there. I don't know. I feel like the timing really just wasn't it. Now, since he wasted the Vines there, guys, and spent all his Elixir, I decided to just go in for that Graveyard here. I knew he could have Mother Witch, and unfortunately he did. I was hoping he might not have it. I knew he probably would have it, but I was just, like, praying he wouldn't. So he got a lot of piggies here. Luckily, the poison took out mostly everything, though. And I just got an Ice Wizard for defense. I knew I might need to get a Knight as well, so I think I did get my Knight down in time. Yeah, I got my Knight down, but then he went for the Battle Ram as well, and I just had no Elixir for anything. So in the end, that Graveyard was kind of bad. It's just that I thought I could get a nice counter push, and I wasn't 100% sure if he'd have Mother Witch. So this was looking really bad for me. I just decided to go for another Graveyard because I was kind of desperate here. I knew that this matchup would be really hard to get damage in, so I knew if I didn't get much damage here, I probably would just lose the game. Mother Witch did kind of walk into the poison, luckily. I thought it might not even die to it for a second, but it just barely was able to die. And I got a Knight as well with the Baby Dragon. I was hoping maybe I could get some sort of Baby Dragon chip damage with a Tornado. I didn't actually end up going for the Nado. I feel like I could have got a pretty good situation if I did Nado there to pull the Golden Knight next to his tower for some splash damage, but I just didn't want to be down that much Elixir. And I think at the end it was actually a good thing that I didn't waste that Tornado, because, I mean, he had a really big push coming this way. And dude, his dumb Bandit killed my Baby Dragon, so it completely ruined my defense. See, guys, like, I should have defended that battle ram perfectly fine, but just those dumb vines allowed my baby dragon to die to the bandit, and it completely ruined everything for me. I went for a second ice wizard, but the first one did fall, unfortunately, so I just knew that this game was probably going to be over. I was already kind of a little bit upset, to be honest. Because the thing about game 1s in CRL, guys, is that, you know, like for game 2s and 3s, you can like pick based off of what your opponent ran earlier in the previous game or two. So you could kind of have some idea what they might run, but in the game 1s, it's really just luck-based a lot compared to game 2s and 3s. And man, I couldn't even really go in here, but I just had to because I needed to get damage, you know? That's really it. His Mother Witch actually locked onto my Evo Knight, though, which was huge for me, guys. Look how much damage I got because of that. Yeah, his Mother Witch really sold him right there, and also he had no small spell in his deck except the Vines. You know, guys, now that I think about it, I think the only reason my graveyard got so much damage there was because he had no Rage or anything. He just had the Vines only. And I went in for another graveyard here. You could see I was kind of slowly starting to outcycle him. And he actually didn't end up going for a Mother Witch here. I got a nice Tornado, which just pulled his Pekka away and allowed my skeletons to get a lot of damage. And dude, at this point I was thinking like, what the heck? How am I coming back right here? I might actually be able to win this one. But then he played the Evo Battle Ram, man, and look how hard it is to stop that card for me. Look, I had to go for a Tombstone, I had to get, I believe, a whole Tornado as well. Yeah, I spent so much Elixir there, and he was kind of just swarming me here. So I couldn't even go in for my graveyard or anything to make a proper push. I did get a nice Evo Baby Dragon up high, though, stunning up everything. He did pull it to the ground, though, and man, it just completely died, and his piggies kept on chipping my tower, man. I couldn't do anything. I just kept on getting spammed and spammed and spammed, but I got a really good Barbarrel, and I think I got a Knight down soon as well. Yeah, I went for a Knight, but guys, I took some damage here, so I knew that a Poison would not be enough. I needed some Graveyard chip damage to win this game. If I didn't get Graveyard damage here, I was dead. But luckily I got one Skeleton hit there, and I was pretty sure that would secure it, but then I got two, and I knew for sure that I had won this game. That was honestly a pretty insane comeback. For the next game, I decided to go for this Mortar Skeleton Barrel deck. It's a really good and aggressive spam deck. The Evo Skelly Barrel is still really strong. And he decided to go for a really weird Recruits Balloon deck. Guys, I'm actually very glad I didn't go for Hog Rider, because as you can see here, this guy was probably really trying to snipe Hog Rider. I'm pretty sure that's what the matchup was that he wanted here. I mean, he had like Fisherman, he had arrows, and obviously Balloon when I wouldn't really have much air defense in a Hog deck. Because all my Hog deck normally has is just Firecracker and Cannon, so if he faced that matchup, I think he would probably beat me pretty easily. And guys, I do still run the Empress a lot of the time in these Mortar decks, even after the nerf. I think it's still pretty nice to have sometimes, and I knew in this type of matchup also it would help me out quite a bit. I was pretty sure he had Recruits at this point, but it was kind of weird to me that he still hadn't played them yet, because normally Recruits players go for Recruits first play, but this guy was just being pretty passive for some reason. I finally did go in for the Mortar, yeah, and he did go for the Recruits right at that exact time. I mean, at first I was thinking he could have like a Ram Rider or Balloon, but I was expecting Balloon. That's what I was expecting. Got a nice Dark Goblin down the middle. And you know what's good for me is that I did have the arrows in this matchup for his archers. That was actually a really nice thing for me, because otherwise the Evo archers could have been pretty hard to deal with. But yeah, I got a really easy defense here, and I did go in for my Evo Skelly Barrel as well. I knew he didn't really have any great way to stop that. He went for the Evo archers, but that just gave me free arrows. And I think I got my Skelly King ability when he was really low elixir, so he just had nothing to really do except a late snowball. And I knew his cycle was so bad now, so I just went for a Goblin Gang right at 3 elixir, knowing his arrows and snowball were out of cycle. Which made him go for a very late Fisherman, but that still gave me some really nice damage on the tower to go in for that Goblin Gang. And I got a really good Skelly Barrel here. You guys could see I was kind of just reading him like a book. I knew he had no spells once again in cycle, so I got so much Skelly Barrel damage. The one issue with this deck in the Swiss stage of CRL, though, guys, is that normally you can play Cannoneer in this deck, because the top 32 stage and the monthly final stage, you play normal duels, basically, right? But when you're playing the top 1000 stage, it's in-game duels, so basically you have to pre-make all of your decks. So you actually can't even run Tower Troops, because for some reason they didn't add it yet to the in-game duels section. Like, you just have to play Princess Tower every game. But yeah, I knew or if I could pass through this stage, I knew then I could actually play normal duels. And a lot of the top players like normal duels a lot better than in-game duels, because in-game duels are just more luck-based, since you have to kind of pre-make your stuff. But with the normal duels, you can create your decks a lot more reactively, and just usually the better player ends up winning. I got like 500 damage there, man, just with the Evo Skelly Barrel dropping, despite his arrows. And I got some really good arrows on his stuff. He finally went for his balloon, but notice how I applied so much pressure that he pretty much only went for his first balloon, like, really late in the game. I don't know if this was his first balloon or if he got one other. I kind of wasn't really paying much attention, but he pretty much was not able to go in at all. I got some nice arrows here, making sure to hit the tower this time as well, and I did get a skeleton tick, and another one as well, and that put him in arrows range. I knew that arrows do 93 damage at tournament standard, so just had to cycle back, and yeah, I was kind of getting on my roll, guys, because as I said, I got an early loss in this tournament, so I was thinking that I actually might get out, but with these few wins, I knew that I was getting pretty close to the prize. Now, guys, I was facing Newbie, who I knew would be a pretty difficult opponent for me, because normally when I face him on ladder, he's always playing this really quick Goblin Drill cycle deck, which normally does counter a lot of my cycle decks, so I knew he could run that, potentially. He ended up playing RG, which I also knew was going to be a bit of a threat. I knew that he could potentially play RG, and yeah, me and my coach were right that he would play that. Or he might play that. And I decided to go for kind of a weird Goblin Drill deck here. I mean, it was more so just my coach who decided this. He decided to send me in with this weird Goblin Drill Witch deck. Normally, I never really like Witch in something like a Goblin Drill deck, but yeah, just because Vines were everywhere, we knew that it could potentially get a lot of value if we faced a Vines deck. I got really good Vines myself on his Wizard, which allowed my Witch to kill it, and then the Witch also got a hit on the tower as well. I got a really aggressive Fire Spirit just, you know, right when I had that elixir for it, and it got a nice connection. By the way, guys, I do have to give you a couple announcements. So first off, I opened like that YouTube community thing. I don't even know how it works, but apparently YouTubers can make communities now. So if you go to my channel, you can see that I have a community. Oh yes, I got a really good Vines there, man. Got a Berserker hit because of it. But yeah, we have a community now, so basically anyone can post whatever they want in there. I mean, you can't post whatever you want, but like you can make a community post and yeah, talk with others in there and see my posts as well. Now, oh, the other thing I wanted to do is also flex a little bit. Everyone always asks me in my videos sometimes. So there you go. But anyways, let's talk about the match, man. Let's lock in. So look, yeah, I was facing RG. I was playing this drill deck, and I was off to a pretty good start. The witches were just really hard for him to kill, and I knew that they would always get good value. He got a nice prediction Fisherman on my Skelly King, but having the secondary tank and the Berserker made it so the Wizard wouldn't really ever do too much. I think the worst part about this matchup, though, is the fact that Vines are kind of big spell, so I really couldn't kill his Wizard until it crossed the map. Like, I couldn't really kill a Wizard on his side of the map. Dude, he went for a very late Monk ability. He was just, like, praying while I was getting the Goblins on his tower. That was so funny. And yeah, I just was able to set up my Witch here. I knew he could always go for a Fireball log onto the Witches, but that would just be such a negative trade for him overall, because the Witch would still spawn Skellies and just make it so he couldn't really support his push the way he wanted to. And I also did have my Evo Snowball here as well, guys, and I knew the Evo Snowball could always save me if I needed like a last-ditch effort to defend a push. That Skelly King did really good there, hitting the troops kind of across the bridge, I feel like. And I did decide to go for an Evo Snowball here, which actually did end up activating his King Tower, but honestly, I really didn't care at all about that, because I had already gotten so much damage on his tower that it didn't really matter much to me. He did go in for a Monk right here, but he just didn't have the Elixir to play an RG, so this push really wasn't that threatening at all to me. I got some nice Vines down. You could see how a lot of the Vines I was using throughout this game, guys, were actually defensive ones, just using it on the Wizard and the Monk, and sometimes the RG as well. I did get my Snowball down here to kind of push the Wizard forward into my Evo Witch and allow it to hopefully die. And I got my Vines as well, which kind of made his Monk just bad, because he tried to get a Monk to protect the Wizard, but we just eliminated the Wizard anyways, so his Monk just really went to nothing right there. And my Witch still stayed alive, man. Evo Witch is actually so good, guys, I'm not even kidding. You should definitely give it a try, especially if you struggle against Vines and stuff like that. And Witch somehow got a shot on the tower too, man. I was kind of just trying to cycle my spells here, guys, so that way I could be able to, little by little, take down the Evo Wizard and also, you know, just finish out the game, just close out the game. So, yeah, he actually got his Monk just completely wrecked right there. I got a really good Skelly King splashing on just about everything, and I was just free to go in for the Drill once again. He really didn't have any good Drill counters in his deck. Like, he could get okay trades against the Drill, but never really that good of a trade. The best thing he could do is go for, like, Skeletons plus a Log, but that's only a +1, and they do take a bit of the damage from the impact of the Goblin Drill. I got my Berserker up high here, and he was kind of overwhelming me a little bit, guys. He also had the Wizard going as well, and he was able to get his Monk ability. He got a nice Fisherman there, but I was just not really scared at all, guys, because I had the double building in my Goblin Drill and the Goblin Hut. And also the vines I knew could just always stun up the RGs. Which is really nice, because sometimes they go for really aggressive random RGs and you just don't have the perfect cycle to stop it, but if you have the vines, you can just save yourself. Also, I don't know how that RG didn't get a shot right there. I was kind of surprised. And, yeah, I was able to take a nice win. So here's what it all came down to, guys. This was for everything. If I could win this, I could seal the set and take the win against Newbie. I was playing this Mega Knight Lightning deck with the Ramrider. He started the game off with a bad Goblin Hut. He played it one more tile to the right than he should have. So I was already feeling decent just off of that, and also, I had Golden Knight in this deck, which I knew could do really good against the Goblin Hut, just by chaining on the Spear Goblins and getting right on there, sometimes even on the tower too. I got a Ramrider aggressively. I already knew that he'd probably have Graveyard once I saw his first couple cards. It's really just the Graveyard that seems to abuse the Goblin Hut the most these days. I got a Heal Spirit off, but it unfortunately didn't quite reach the Ramrider, and my Golden Knight didn't really charge on much, but I got a nice Rage. And my Golden Knight was able to also take out his entire Ice Wizard. So here I was thinking he might try to get a Graveyard or something if he wants to be really aggressive, but I knew that if he went for something to support the Witch, I could just get a nice Mega Knight down. And I don't know why he went for that Knight, bro. He literally put the Witch in front of the Knight anyways, but I don't even know why he would go for that, because even if he put the Witch behind, the Mega Knight still would have wrecked it. I went for the Evo Baby Dragon as well, just to speed up the Mega Knight, guys, and here I pretty much knew it would be over. Like, dude, look how quick my Mega Knight was going. And then I got a Heal Spirit hitting my Mega Knight. His Goblin Hut placement was kind of bad too, but I don't think it even mattered. And then I was able to sneak in my Dark Prince on in there using the speed boost of the Baby Dragon. I was able to just, yeah, basically take his entire tower. And yeah, that sealed it for me, guys. I ended up getting top 32, and I'll be moving on to day 2. So make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!